I want to begin with what your president of the Business Council said. He said, in North America, this is how we function. Me, myself, and I model, and that you three countries need to work better together. One of the biggest disputes brewing during this conference is going to be energy policy. Do you think there's going to be inroads that are going to be made?
Well, I just had a productive meeting with Secretary Hordern, my counterpart, following on a meeting I had with her in November. And what I would say about that is absolutely, we are going to continue to work together. I have been listening to the Canadian investors who have made investments here in Mexico. It's really important that trade agreements are respected. But certainly in my conversations with Secretary Hordern, this work will have to continue between our three countries. And to Goldie's comments, I'm thrilled that businesses from all three countries are here on the margins of the North American Leader Summit, which really does show the opportunity to be working together and for us as governments to be working together, but also the business sector.
When it comes to the energy dispute, though, the United States, Canada, they view what Mexico is doing as protectionist. Mexicans, they say that's not really the case. But at the end of the day, if there's not going to be an agreement, will this lead to a panel looking after it, or potentially the very end of it, tariffs?
Well, all options are open. I mean, this is why we have, CUSMA in Canada, USMCA in US, and TMAC here. I mean, it's an agreement that also provides for mechanisms for dispute. But of course, as trading partners, and trading partners that are like us, Canada, US, and Mexico, who do enormous trade volumes. I mean, I would say that this is one of the most successful trading relationships in the world. The three countries have been trading together for 30 years. If I look at 2021's trade volumes, we've done nearly $2 trillion every single day. It's $4 billion of trade. So these are significant numbers in trade between the three countries. So it's important that when we have issues that we have to resolve, that we work very intently on resolving them. But our agreements also give us those mechanisms for resolutions. So everything is on the table, but our preference, of course, is to always find a resolution where we can.
And Justin Trudeau, your Prime Minister, said on Friday to Reuters that the U.S. and Canada want to make it clear to AMLO that if they were to negotiate this and they could put this besides them, potentially there'd be more foreign direct investment into Mexico. But is there a timeline that at some point you're going to have to move to Plan B?
Well, the Prime Minister is absolutely correct. Businesses expect to have predictability and transparency. And what are we really talking about here? We're talking about an opportunity to work together to create greater green energy and greater renewable resources, a sustainable economy and environment here in Mexico that Canada very much wants to be a part of. We're all very motivated to try to find a solution. And I think, like I said, I met with Secretary Hordern today, and I implored on her that we must continue to do this work together to find a resolution. But as I said, all options are, continue to be there available to us.
And considering all options on the table, I want to pivot to the Inflation Reduction Act. We've seen a number of U.S. allies come out really angry at the U.S. for what they say is unfair trade practices. What is Canada's response? Is there going to be more money in the spring budget? And to what industries is Canada going to try to target to really combat these subsidies that U.S. companies are going to be getting?
Well, the Inflation Reduction Act is a recognition that the fight for climate change and to build an economy that is green is something that the United States is committed to, and so is Canada. If I take a look at one of the areas that we are very pleased at working with the Americans on is the building of green automobiles, electric vehicles. We've been building cars together for 100 years. Our economy and that sector in particular is deeply integrated. If you take a look at a vehicle today, it crosses our borders about 7 times before it is finally assembled. So
just to make it.
Just to make the car. And the future is going to be the future of electric vehicles. Canada has incredible and important critical minerals that go into those batteries, and the batteries and the assembly of those batteries into electric vehicles is going to be really important part of our economy. And we've already done our part, Canada, and we'll continue to do our part to make sure that we continue to stay competitive so that we are supporting our industries in this important value chain that is about building an economy that is green.
When you talk about raw materials, I immediately think, especially with EVs, I immediately think of China and the hold they have on lithium. Is there a point where Canada would give preferential treatment to, say, U.S. or Mexico for lithium, so they're looking more within this trilateral relationship instead of abroad?
Well, I would say that Canada has already started doing the work with its critical mineral strategy. We are very committed to developing those critical minerals in Canada in a sustainable way and creating a value chain and a supply chain with our friends who also share our values and the rule of law. And we already have an agreement with the United States where we will absolutely be working together with the Europeans and with Japan as well on developing those critical minerals so that we have those important minerals into whether it's consumer products, whether it's renewable energy, whether it is the automobiles, whether it's the technology of the future. It is going to require those minerals, to which Canada has. We're very committed to developing them sustainably with our partners in Canada, which include Indigenous peoples, and we're going to do that with our partners in a rules-based way.
Just finally, and very briefly, I just want to end on this moment at the G20, because I know you were there, as was I. And Xi Jinping went up to Justin Trudeau and confronted him about leaks into the media. Now, you are the trade minister for Canada. You've been going all over the Indo-Pacific to look for partners. Does this make your relationship much more difficult with Beijing after that confrontation?
Well, we have a multifaceted relationship with China. We just saw at the end of 2022, we hosted COP in Montreal in Canada. And we did that with China. So there are areas that we are going to cooperate, especially on issues like climate change, where China has to be a part of that solution. And there we will cooperate. We also will stand up for values that are important to Canadians and the rule of law that is important to Canadians. And in that context, we will at times challenge China. And Canadians expect us to do that, and we will continue to do that. But I'm very confident that, Canada, in our trading agreements and relationships here in North America, in the Indo-Pacific, to which we are expanding and growing, with our partners in the European Union, that we're very well positioned to keep doing the work that we are doing, leading with Canadian values and standing up for what is important to Canadians, which is the rule of law.